We're all good? Okay. All right, I call to order the regular council meeting for Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. I'd like to start this meeting off in a good way by acknowledging that we're gathered on the Treaty 8 First Nations territory, the long-standing presence of the elders and the ancestors of Treaty 8. And through this acknowledgement, we extend recognition and respect to the BC Treaty 8 First Nations and all those who call the Peace Country home. Item number 3, recommend the council adopt the January 14th, 2026, you gotta fix that typo there, regular council meeting agenda. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Whittle, thank you. Discussion on tonight's agenda? I'm gonna call the question then. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's carried unanimously. All right, moving on to adoption of minutes. Recommend the council adopt the special council meeting minutes from December 11th, 2025 as presented. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Whittle. Discussion regarding those minutes? I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? You in favor, Councillor Whittle? Councillor Wall?
Yep. I don't know how to put my hand up on this thing.
I can't see you anyway, so. Do you just want to work it where if, unless you say you're opposed, you're in favor? That's what Councillor Whittle always does.
I am fine with that.
Okay, perfect. That just stops when I'm going to speak constantly. Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Recommend that council adopt the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes dated December 11th, 2025 as presented. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Whittle. Discussion regarding those minutes? I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? It's unanimous and carried. 4.3, recommend that council adopt the regular council meeting minutes dated November 26, 2025 as presented. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. Any discussion regarding those minutes? I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried. Okay, introduction of late items. We do have a bit of a late item, but it's in regard to item 8.3. It's just an addition for an option for that letter after myself and Mr. Malkinson did some brainstorming. So we just have kind of provided you with two options. So when we get to 8.3, you can look at both and decide. Councillor Wall was sent the
Copy of the letter?
Yes. Copy of the letter, yes. Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. So there's the addition of 8.3, that second letter. All those in favor of accepting the addition of the second letter to 8.3, can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Whittle. All those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Thank you. Public hearings, none. Allegations, none. Moving on to item number 8, unfinished business and business arising from the minutes. 8.1. What's this confusing? No, I'm going to read the 8.2 so you can read 8.1.
All right, recommendation that council approves phase 1 of the 2026 infrastructure master plan, consisting of phase 1A, water model development and water system capability improvement, capital improvement plan, and phase 1B, sewer system capital improvement plan. And that council directs staff to proceed with procurement, development, and available funding applications for implementation in 2026.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Rabble, thank you. Discussion? I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. Mr. Malkinson, I just have a quick question before we move on. Once this is, no, hang on, I need to think of my wording. Can we make a posting to the public, just letting them know that we approve this phase one plan? I just really would like to kind of let them know some of the things that we're doing over the next year. And we've worked really, really hard to get to this infrastructure master plan. And it's something that we've been talking about for the past 3.5 years, and so it's a big achievement for us to actually be here. And so if we could really relay that to the public, that hey, now as the lagoon is, knock on wood, done, we can finally move to the next phase of a lot of the infrastructure planning. And infrastructure wants that we identified when we all ran as individuals for these seats. moment for everybody that sits in this council chamber.
That's yeah, it's good to hear, your worship, and obviously we're happy to be focused on some of the fundamental things, you know, for the village. It's not very attractive, but you know, this is core to what we do, and we're really happy to tear right into it. In terms of publication, we do have the RFP complete, and you know, we'll be putting that out and sharing that on, you know, all the channels. But once we have that out, we're happy to put out a press release and do a social media post as well. So
That sounds wonderful, thank you. Yes, Councillor Wall.
I just want to say I am so happy for our staff and everybody that's gotten this lagoon project to where it is. And I'm very, very happy that after 3 and a bit years, we can finally start doing the things we said we were going to do when we got elected. So I'm very happy to see that that's done, and we're on the path we wanted to be on. So thank you everybody for that.
Very, very exciting, absolutely. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 8.2. Now I just have to ask, I'm willing to read all of this, but do I have to read the entire thing, really?
is this one again? Oh, yeah. I mean, if you guys want to move the recommendation as included in the agenda there, that should be fine, right? This was exhaustively discussed at the committee of the whole meeting, and if there's no further debate for council to have, you know, Taya was kind of raring to go over the Christmas break. I kind of already set her to the draft. So,
yeah.
But,
so
yeah.
I don't need to read each bullet point then?
Your worship, you could move the recommendation as identified in the agenda, maybe fine.
Okay, all right. Then item 8.2, revitalization tax exemption bylaw. I'd like to recommend that council direct staff to prepare a revitalization tax exemption bylaw in all that is contained within the agenda, the recommendation. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Woodall. Discussion? Yes, Councillor Rabel.
So we did discuss this exhaustively at the committee of the whole in the last year. I think there's just kind of other pieces. One thing I'd like to refine is, what if a building permit isn't required for a situation? When should they throw in their application for this tax exemption? I guess that's kind of one thing that I haven't defined. Because we were talking about building permits and all this other stuff. Where would we put that?
Well, I don't want to step on any toes. At this point in time, they're just building it, and so once the bylaw is built, all that information will be coming back to us, and then that's when we can really corner down into, okay, I think that this isn't defined enough, or can we look at adding this in? At this point in time, this is some of the stuff that's going to be included within the bylaw as a bit of an example of what the draft is going to look like. But once the draft comes back to us, that would be a great time to really start busting down, like, is this more, can we define this more, or can we look at adding in such and such? Yes, please.
And there would be another thing, non-transferability. If property owners change, I think probably managing this program-wise, I think just keep it with the property for the lifetime of 5 or 10 years or whatever, and if the owners change, then it shouldn't really matter. It should stay with the property, is my suggestion.
Yeah.
I understand that we get discretion over this as a municipality. I think keeping it with the property is probably easier to manage. Plus, then that's an incentive to invest in the community, improve assets, and then, you know, sell off those assets, and then somebody else can acquire them at that market rate, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to get into a scenario where somebody feels beholden to either sell or invest. Why not have them invest and sell if they so wish, right?
Yeah.
It's their property. So one thing I would like to see, though, on a higher level is that it's associated with the property, that it's not framed as an agreement between the property owner and the village, that's between, I guess, there has to be a legal person involved, but hopefully you understand, hopefully folks understand what I'm getting at.
The only reason why we can't change that is because that was recommended and voted on by council, and council at the time of that meeting voted in favor of the non-transferability. So if you wanted to change that, it would have to be during that bylaw when it comes forward, and then it'd have to be re-voted on by council. You know, good old governance. Yes.
And your worship, that is, again, I'm not trying to inject myself into the debate, but that would be a very, very easy thing to change once you guys have to have one. Let's have this debate about this. Let's re-examine this non-transferability nonsense.
Yeah.
Says, you know, Councillor Rabel, and then you guys can have that debate. We'll make that change or not. But as it's been been moved and seconded, like the recommendations from the committee of the whole, non-transferability will be there'll be a provision in there saying this will be non-transferable, or the, exemptions will be non-transferable. We just be simple as deleting it.
Yeah.
If council resolved otherwise.
Yeah. And at that time, that recommendation is gonna have to be made and then we vote on it. Yes.
Hypothetically, we could do that now or in the future, so we're saying, I'd like to propose the motion, just so that it's not forgotten about, because I'll probably forget about it, but I appreciate the recommendation from the committee, however, I do have an issue with that particular piece that the committee's recommended to us. So anyways, I'd like to put the motion to amend this, to have transferability.
Okay, can I get a seconder on that?
I'll second that.
That's seconded by Councillor Wall. Okay. Yes, Councillor.
Okay, since it seemed like that was rather tight, what I'm getting at is essentially it would be the framing of how this whole thing goes. If it's for 5 years, it's with the life of obviously the property, not the property owner. Property owners change for a variety of different reasons. Partnerships form, partnerships dissolve, people sell off assets. I wouldn't want us to burden ourselves with some onerous management schedule where we're basically having to cooperate some ownership registry with also the registry of these tax amendments. Plus the other piece too is it's an incentive. If they improve the property, they should be able to sell it off with that benefit. It's a benefit that's now become inherent to the thing, temporary though it may be. But I think that transferability helps keep that asset with that value, right? Like if you do it, it could become an incentive for somebody to buy it actually. I think it simplifies things for staff in the village. It clarifies things to owners. It creates a sense of permanence and investment, and it helps business and property owners. I think it's a good thing all around, honestly, to have transferability.
Yeah, just in full transparency, I'm not going to vote in favor of the recommendation that's on the floor just because I feel that we are trying to promote people adding value to their properties, but not quite promote that in making properties more sellable. So at this point in time, I myself personally do not support the motion that's on the floor, but I just wanted to kind of be a bit transparent about that. Any other questions regarding the recommendation on the floor? Yes, Councillor Wong?
So you're Woodhill.
Oh my God.
We're so close.
I'm switching my name tag. So, to my understanding, though, some of this exemption though relies on permits that have been issued or the use of permits, and permits are generally issued to the person that's doing the work or the homeowner, right? Not to the property, right? So for that reason, I think it's definitely worth more of a discussion, but I want to see the way the bylaw shakes out. So for that reason, I'm going to vote opposed to the.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Councillor Wall?
So I think it's important that we associate it with the property itself instead of the owner, because when we're taxing the property, we're not taxing the owner of the property, we are taxing the property itself, right? So I don't know how we would associate it with a person compared to with the property, because there's a bunch of hypothetical situations I can think of where, somebody owns a home and they, do a bunch of renos and they maybe give it to their kids or whatever, where that exemption should still exist because those improvements were made. But it's a fine line. Are there any other comments on that?
Councillor Gravel?
Well, imagine you have a parent who owns a home. 2-3 years into the process, they unfortunately pass away very suddenly. And now, whoever takes over the estate not only has to deal with the costs associated with it, but essentially suddenly their taxation would change. Where, whoever the executor of the will is looking at their previous tax notices, and bam, they get a tax notice. Oh, it's extra 20%. This expired with the person because they died. There's a whole bunch of scenarios where it's better to just leave it with the property, especially as the taxation authority manages the taxation based on the properties themselves, not the owners. There's all kinds of situations where it could lead to more complexity. I think it brings certainty to the village, certainty to the people that own properties. I think better all around, honestly.
Okay, I'm going to take one last comment from Councillor Wall, and then I'm going to call the question. Yes, Councillor Wall.
Of course. one of the concerns I have with associating with a person is what if that person owns multiple properties and improves one? Like, because that is a situation that does occur. So if we associate it directly with the address itself, we know that that address is the one that is getting the revitalization exemption, not the other 5 or 10 that person may own as well. That's a concern I see if we associate it with a person instead of with the address.
It will be attached to the person anyway.
Generally, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna call the question then. All those in favor of the motion that's on the floor?
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? And the recommendation is defeated. Moving back to the original recommendation, regarding the tax exemption bylaw, I'm gonna call the question on that recommendation. All those in favor?
The whole thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you in favor, Councillor Whittle?
Wall.
Wall,
Yes.
oh my
Wall. It's
god.
also Wall, yeah. We should just switch seats there, Councillor Whittle.
I know.
I'm gonna go on the phone. Your name's right on the screen.
His first name right on the screen. Okay, that is unanimous and carried. My gosh, I'm so sorry. You know what? This is why I napped before council meetings. If you've ever
May
wondered.
I read the next one?
8.3?
Yeah.
Yes, and there was an addition of a late item to 8.3 as well for just to provide 2 letters that council can choose from. And so absolutely read it, and then council can pick which copy they would prefer to send out.
Oh, I've only seen the one, so I might take a moment with that. I'll read the recommendation though. I
Okay.
recommend that council approve a draft letter opposing the federal firearms buyback program and authorize the mayor to sign it and direct staff to forward the letter to the identified recipients, including the Minister of Public Safety, our MLA and Member of Parliament, the City of Dawson Creek, the Chair of the Peace River Regional District, and the representative on the Peace River Regional District for Area D.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Rabble, thank you. Mr. Malkinson is just gonna
Texting it.
text the second letter to you. So there's 2 options there that council can choose from. As I said, me and Doug kind of sort of started brainstorming and came up with the 2 different options. So read both and tell me what you guys think. Councillor Rabble?
So what's the reason for the second one? Because I've seen the first one before, and now I've read the second one, and the second one seems to be a little, the first one definitely has like the citing and seems more strongly worded. What was the reason for the draft of the
Yeah,
second?
the only reason that led to the drafting of the second is I read through the first one and I really, really liked the information that was in there. I just felt that with it being 2 pages, I was concerned it would be a bit wordy, and so I shortened it down. That was it. That was the only reason. I liked the first one. I just felt that it just had a lot of information in it, and I was worried that it was a little bit wordy, so I just shortened it down in the second one. And so I provided 2 options.
Yeah, I'm in favor of the first one. I'll be for the first one.
Okay, sounds good. Yes, Councillor Wall?
I prefer the first one as well. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Perfect. No worries. All those in favor of sending out the first letter? All right, sounds good. Perfect. The first one can go on out. Thank you very much. All right, 8.3 recommendation. 8.4, recommendation. Councillor Johnston, you want to read?
Recommend the council authorize the village of Pouce Coupe to participate in the Northeast BC Accessibility Committee and contribute to the regional facilitation cost sharing arrangement for 2026 to 2028.
Seconded by Councillor Rabble. Thank you. Any discussion?
This is timely, your worship, because we got the invoice for this today.
Oh.
Yes, Councillor Rabble.
Well, we have my understanding is there's a statutory obligation to form some sort of accessibility committee. We're doing this as a regional approach. We've done this before. I think this is the best way to proceed, that we're doing it on a regional basis, spreading the cost out of the whole region versus trying to host it in-house. The alternative option is trying to host it in-house. This is preferred.
Yes.
Oh, and that the mayor be our representative. Do we need to add that? That was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting. Do we need to
Oh, yeah.
go like de facto representative?
No, I thought it was a staff thing. Aren't you the representative?
I'm a point of contact.
Yeah.
It's a very close point of contact. terms of reference, I think have like ex officio, you know, for the committee as a whole. I don't know
Yeah.
if the council has the approval, you know, per se, but I'm gonna collaborate with the mayor in any event, you know,
Yeah.
on any issues
I think it's
that
more
are-
of a main staff thing,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. And then I sort of de facto to representation from the council as me in the terms of reference, so I think Mr. Malkinson's correct.
So we're good? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Yes, Councillor Wall?
So I've read through the report here, and it seems like it's $605. Like this is going to be quite a large program. Are we sure that the cost is going to be that low?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't ask any more questions.
It is very low.
Yeah.
It's based on population, so.
Yeah, no, that's legit what the bill is, we were as excited as you. All right, I'm gonna call the question then, all those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried, wonderful. 8.5, recommend that council adopt the 2026 council committee and portfolio assignments as presented. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Woodall. Discussion? No. All those in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. I should get a high five every time I get the name right, I'm telling you. That's why I know. Okay. Oh gosh. 8.6, policy development and review. Councillor Rattle, you want to read that?
Sure, so, recommendation 1, the council approve, should we handle these separately?
Yeah.
Okay, council approve policy 7.1, firefighter remuneration policy as presented.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Woodall. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Number 2.
Number 2, that council approve policy 4.7, yard waste pickup, seniors and people with special needs as amended to include and capacity in clause 3.
Seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Number 3.
Number 3, that council approve policy 5.4, smoke-free workplace as presented.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Discussion? All those in favor?
I have discussion.
Oh, you have a discussion about that one? I'm so sorry. Yes, Councillor
Yes.
Wall.
Yes, I do. I'm not opposed to smoke-free workplaces. However, I am opposed to the province creating sweeping legislation that forces municipalities to do these sorts of things. It takes up our staff time. It takes up community. Like it takes money and time to do this. And these minor changes that they make every now and again really add up. So for that reason, I will be voting opposed, just because I don't like the idea of them pushing more regulation onto municipalities.
Okay, I'm going to call the question then, just for transparency and clarity. So all those in favor? All those opposed?
I abstain.
Opposed.
Opposed. Would you like your opposed noted?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
I abstained last time.
Okay, for sure. Okay, moving on to item number 9, new business. 9.1. Want to read that one?
Yeah, zoning bylaw review update. Recommendation that council receive the zoning bylaw review update staff report for information and discussion.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Any discussion?
Your worship, this is just put in as a gentle reminder to council of where we're at in the zoning review, to remind council of the session on January 31st and to give just a budget update on where we were at in the engagement.
Have you sent a calendar invite out for that one?
I swear I have.
You might have.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure you did.
Yeah, I think I did. Let me check.
It's written on my calendar, so.
Okay.
I hope so.
If you did, okay, perfect. I'm not looking at my other phone, so I can remember for the life of me. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I made you panic for no reason.
No, it's okay.
So I just wanted to let folks know where we were at, or let council rather know where we were at. Council workshop number 2 is approaching. I know we've had some good feedback from council to date. This is basically, we're hoping to, give a little bit of an update on, some of the changes that have come from staff feedback or from community feedback to the current draft, and to make sure that there's no further, policy level concerns before we start moving into final adoption. Because there's a timeline with this one, and obviously let's get her done, kind of thing.
Timeline kind of a man. Nope, gotcha. Okay, any questions or discussion? I'm gonna call the question then. All those in favor? That is unanimous and carried. Thank you. Item number 2, engineering consulting service contract award. Recommend that council award RFP 2025-10-01 municipal engineering and consulting services to Colliers Project Leaders Incorporated and McElhaney Ltd. And that the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to execute the master persons, and further that council approve the cost of, where are we?
Master Service.
Thank you, Master Service Agreement with Colliers Project Leaders Inc. and McElhaney Ltd. Seconded by.
I'll second that.
Councilor Wall, I'll take it. Even like threw his name out there and everything, he was like, come on, man. Okay.
The real Counselor Wall.
Touche!
Start wearing my name tag next.
I know. Any discussion or questions regarding the recommendation that's on the floor? Councilor Rattle?
Just to clarify, it appears as though we're attempting to award to 2 different firms. How would that be able to function, that both take on this engineering master services agreement? Just making sure that it will actually be able to work, right, for the village.
Fair enough. Thank you, Your Worship. So the RFP was written in a way that we requested interested firms to indicate their preference and ability to take on any of all of a list of services that were included. That was anywhere from engineering to project management. In this RFP, basically we had 2 of the highest scoring, Colliers and McElhaney, indicate that they would be interested in performing or capable of performing different services, where McElhaney is more of the hard and fast engineering planning support, and Colliers can do some project management, owner representation support. So both of them have submitted different proposals that also form part of the agreement, that part of the master services agreement, which indicate the services that they are able to take on. But ultimately the work that's undertaken under this agreement will be done via scopes of work that are authorized in advance by staff. So it would be, hey, we've got this idea, so-and-so that we think fits your skills and abilities. Could we develop a scope of work and a budget for this? Once that scope of work and budget is developed, then that forms the task order basically that's subservient to the master service agreement. So if it's a straight hard and fast engineering thing, all likelihood we'd be going to McElhaney for it. If it was a really politically sensitive or a big fancy project that we might not have the skills for internally, then we'd probably be going to Colliers to get assistance in managing it.
So essentially the village would have flexibility in choosing between these 2 and working with them collaboratively to get the best result for the village.
That's exactly it. And we did confirm with both companies that they would be okay with this arrangement prior to making this recommendation.
Good, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, no.
It is a little bit more rare, but the RFP did contemplate this outcome. Like we did communicate from the outset in the RFP that this was a potential outcome from this competition.
Okay, any other questions? I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried. Wonderful. Moving on to item 9.3, 2026 financial plan recommendation. The council received the 2026 draft operating and capital supplement information report for information and go forward with scenario A, 5%. And further, that staff be directed to finalize the 2026 financial plan and bring forward a financial plan bylaw for council's consideration. Seconded by Councillor Whittle. Discussion? Councillor Whittle?
So I know the property assessments just got released here recently, and I've been kind of looking throughout Poos, and it's kind of interesting. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to tax increases.
No.
I've seen anywhere from a 6 and 7 to 0 to 2% increase. And the nice thing is the BC assessment. Yeah, the BC assessment values went up now, right? With some places not. So how does that affect our residents? And the cool thing is actually on the BC assessment site, you can actually see over the last 5 years where it's trending.
Right.
But my concern is with, say, going up, the highest I think I've seen in town right now is a 6 or 7% increase from what I've seen on the property assessment value.
Yeah.
So how is that going to affect our bottom line with only doing a 5% increase? Say majority of properties in Poos went up exactly.
Right, so average, and Duncan, you can help me with this one, the average mill rate increase across the village, 4.2%. The 5% that we're proposing here would be a blended rate between the general tax increase and the mill rate increase, the average mill rate increase. Similar approach that we used last year in terms of that as well. The interesting piece there from like just even a general revenue perspective, when you're talking like percentages to municipal tax increases and the money that actually comes in, like a 0.8% increase to the tax rate that was collected from a village perspective is like in the $5,000 range. Like it's not a substantial amount of money. I think, what did that cost? I quoted you a number the other day. I think it was like
Between 6 and 7, something like that.
dollars.
Oh, forgive me, what do you?
Like when we were talking the other day about the average cost per person in the village
Oh, yes.
it was like
Something like that.
$6 a year or something like that, like in terms of like the 0.8% piece. So I guess to answer your question, the way mill rate increases in terms of kind of that general revenue allocation have been accounted for, have been based off that average mill rate increase historically. That would encapsulate people who may be paying a little bit more in terms of it, or some that may not have as large of an increase to their property assessment. So,
Apologies, Your Worship, if there's any repetition. The scenarios that are contemplated in the sheet that's attached to this are built based on the increase in general municipal tax revenue overall. So those revenue figures would include the assessed value increases. They're not they're not contemplating that council would adjust the mill rate 5%. They're contemplating that overall general municipal tax revenue, which would be a reflection of the blend of the increased assessments, as well as whatever the differential is to achieve that 0.8% that Josh is talking about. That's what's encapsulated in those revenue scenarios, general municipal tax revenue scenarios that are in there. So, you know, all things considered, the increase in assessed values is probably, I don't want to say near zero because, you know, that's maybe misleading, but it's pretty darn close to, pretty darn close to it.
Councillor Wall?
Hi, yeah, so I really appreciate this report that was included in there as well, with the separation of what's essential, what isn't. There's a couple of things in there that it's all based on perspective, some of the stuff in there, but I think it opens the door for us to do the operational review that we talked about a few months ago when we had previous staff. I think it could help the village improve efficiency, accountability, and where we could further align ourselves with the community needs. This idea was raised previously, and it reflects the ongoing interest of strengthening our operations. As far as I know, these reviews are commonplace in other municipalities. I'd like to see them every 5 years or so. It helps us optimize our resources, and support transparent, informed decision making. This could also help us and future councils through our budget process, so that we know we have a little bit more information, anyways, and so we know where we can focus going forward on our operation budget and the services we provide when it comes to this process. Like, sorry, I know I rambled on that. I could have been a little bit more prepared, but.
Yeah, no, and so that's a review of like operations and services and just sort of within the village overall that you're looking for.
Yeah, just a pair of outside eyes to look in and see, hey, where are we maybe not so aligned with what the community needs are, or maybe we're putting a little bit too much effort in this when we could focus that on something else, or maybe we need more attention on something, you know. I think it's a good practice for us to do that, just so that, I mean, we're in it every day and our staff are in it every day, so sometimes maybe we miss the ball, you know. Like,
yeah,
could
I
happen.
think my only worry about that when it comes to the staff, these reviews can be quite large, is a bit of that capacity bit, but I'm gonna have Mr. Malkinson speak to it because he would know more about what that capacity could look like. When you start going to outside agencies, it can get quite costly as well, so I'm gonna get Mr. Malkinson to speak on it and see what he thinks.
Fair enough. Thank you, Your Worship. At the last meeting, there was conversations about core, non-core discretionary in the hopes of driving, you know, maybe some more options for council through the budgeting process. And you know, I think sometimes in budgeting reviews, there's the tendency to try to, you know, pull a rabbit out of the hat, where it's like, oh, well, actually, we found this magical thing that's actually doing nothing, and we spend $100,000 on it every year. That's I've never seen that to be the case yet. You know, it's obviously I don't want to be, you know, closed-minded about anything, and I don't want to, you know, pretend like I'm not looking for ways for things to be better, because you know, there always are ways that we can be doing things better. But to that end, that's where the listing of all the individual things that the village does kind of played into this, where I was thinking, okay, respecting council's role of approving and authorizing services within the community, there is a value statement present in council saying, what are the things that we do? Could we do them less? Could we do them differently? What would the bare minimum theoretically look like? Because those are the service level decisions that at the end of the day ultimately end up influencing the amount of money that the village spends on those services. So as I was kind of you know, working with Josh and you know, developing these, one of the items that I was thinking was, okay, you know, if I'm a council member, it's probably challenging to see what kind of decisions you know, could come from any of these service level aspects or these service pieces. So the paragraph right at the end there is more emphasizing if council wants to drive into any of these further or review any of these further, that's good. It's probably a slow going process, right? But that's something that would require you know, further look, maybe a little bit of further study. And it's something we could either do internally if we end up, you know, maybe changing some of the strategic priorities around, because it's probably going to be a big amount of work, or it's you know, something that we would get external, you know, support on to do. So I think it's more of we want to be supportive of what council's service preferences are for the community, and not bang our heads against the wall and say, oh, you know, like there's no way anything can change. But I want to be realistic with council about, you know, what the timelines of that kind of a change could be, and, you know, realistic about, you know, this isn't, it's hard to, if you don't have a well-defined scope of work, it's not going to be a fruitful exercise.
Yeah, I know, like, my concerns, like, as Councillor Wall said, you know, you did a great job on the report that was written. You could definitely tell that you put a lot of work into it. And then looking at diving into that further scope was just noting that, yeah, like, the only way we could do that internally would be to drop off some of our strategic planning initiatives that we have going forward, or looking at going to the outside in and bringing somebody in. And I know my concern was that we're already looking at transferring from reserves with a 5% increase, the amount of 132,000. And so I guess my concern is that we would actually have to look at including that within this budget and then pulling more from reserves to cover that cost. So I guess that's where another concern of mine was. Councillor Wall, I see your hand is still up.
Yes. So basically, I don't want this to be a costly process, or if we don't have to go externally, that would be great. I'm not expecting it to be done this budget, obviously, but I think it's something that would be good for the community to get into the practice of. And I think a budget time is a good time to look at that. And it prompted me to think about it because I think this report's so well done, and I would love it if going forward we could dive deeper into these categories and services that we provide and go, where can we save? Where are we not putting enough effort? It's not necessarily about the cuts. It's also about where can we improve, and getting a set of eyes looking at that and going, we can do this better, or we could do this cheaper, or we could do this, you know. I think I'm rambling, but I think you guys get the point of where I'm going from this.
Yes, Councillor Brown.
Sorry, just to clarify, is this the proposal for a regular operational review that looks into, you know, all the operational aspects of the village? I'm trying to understand
it looks into our operations and services and sees where we're excelling, where we're lacking, where should our focus actually be. Now that we know everything we do and how much they cost and what we can touch and what we can't touch, I think the next step of that is looking into it and seeing where we can improve.
And
In the meantime, I think that one thing could be a kind of a reporting requirement that council could request, like a reporting requirements annually or every 2 years or every 5 years or whatever, where we ask for a report. Wouldn't the Sophie? No, the Sophie wouldn't cover it because that's just financial.
you know, Sophie is just a breakdown of our financial, yeah.
Expenditures.
What it's called is an operational review, and they're quite
Again,
Yeah,
if
I guess,
council-
like-
if council was interested in that, like maybe ask me for a report and I can try to hash out, you know, a scope or something like that. Or, you know, if, again, it wasn't intended to be the main, you know, purpose
Yeah.
of this. I was mostly trying to respond to some of the conversation that was had at the last meeting and to try to provide a little bit more insight onto some of the components of the budget, right? But,
Yeah, I think the only way we could really go forward with that at this point in time, Councillor Wall, is if we voted on this at, like, on the recommendation that's on the floor currently, and then make a second recommendation for Mr. Malkinson to look into what that scope could potentially look like from a capacity lens and from a financial lens. Because really, we're not quite too sure what that could come out as. So that might be something that we could do going forward, if that would work with you.
That would be great. Part of the reason I want a review done is so that we know what our capacity is, so we don't end up in these situations in the future. Set the next council up for success, you know.
Okay, so pop a pin into that after we're done dealing with the recommendation that's on the floor.
no subtext in the set.
Sounds good.
Yes, Councillor Rowland.
I do appreciate the report that was created, because essentially the job of this council is to basically answer these service level questions of how many services are they funding, you know, what do we want the services to look like. So ultimately, these are the questions that we need to answer. And these are the questions that the public needs to answer, because it says, if you want to reduce the expenses, something has to go, and what do you want? You know, there's only so many things that are actually done, right? But they're the most local, they're the most everyday. It's the roads, it's the water, it's
I actually felt that this report was done so well, I was thinking we should publicly post it on our social media, just to really give the public a bit of an idea. Like, while it's in the agenda, not everybody's gonna scroll through the whole agenda, you know what I mean? And I thought it was so well done. And you're right, it does really firmly answer a lot of those questions. I was thinking, is there like a way we could publicly present, you know, hey, this is what we're looking at, without being scary or, without causing any alarm bells or anything.
Well, these are the questions we're contemplating this budget season.
Yeah,
Whether-
well, these are the questions we
Constantly, yes.
Constantly, right? Yeah.
And that's the thing, as I've read through it, I kind of go, well, damn, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're down to the last staple at this point.
We literally,
So-
one paper clip left. Yeah. Yes, Councillor Wall?
I would almost want to see this report in the Village Voice, if we could, with a little blurb about, hey, these are the services the village provides, this is the thing, and if there's any feedback, like, we get so little feedback during these processes, I would love it if more people would give us their feedback on what they want to see in their budget, right?
Like-
if we could put this report out there, I think, however we can do it, I think it would be great.
Even if it's a, you know, hey, it's that time of year again, these are many of the things that council's contemplating or investigating or considering or looking into,
Yeah.
or like, even if we could put that blurb out there, you know, exactly. Mr. Curiotta?
I was just could it be part of the public consultation
Yeah.
component of it? Like, I think could be a huge driver in terms of
Yeah.
what that agenda piece looked like, or perhaps.
I think it's great. I think, like, honestly, you did a fantastic job. I enjoyed reading through it. Yeah.
It's a team effort for sure,
Yeah.
and I think it's basically just deference to you guys, because you guys are ultimately responsible for all the services and the service levels, and framing that decision is probably a unique political challenge for you guys, right? But if you have your eyes on the prize, it's probably saying, okay, what services do we have, and how do we make sure that those are the right size for the community, or, you know, too much, not enough.
You know, I think it was really, really well done. Any other questions or concerns regarding the recommendation on the floor? Yes, Councillor Reynolds?
So we have to choose between A, B, and C, but not.
I put A on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And although it says 5%, that 5% isn't the 5% 2 years ago. It's a blended, you know, taking increased assess. It's the result number, not the initial number, where it used to be the other way. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, I know I keep clarifying that every darn time. It's
No.
just, it is a different number.
There's a lot of back and forth about it. Right?
Yeah.
The numbers going around, but that number is the product. That's the general municipal tax revenue take. That's the most, I don't want to seem too patty on the back, but that's the most honest way that we could think to kind of put it down.
And even this year, like using the same approach last year, we were within like $3 of our estimation.
$3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
He's good.
I feel pretty good about it, personally.
He's like, I still sleep with that underneath my pillow
Yeah.
every. Yes, Councillor Wall.
So with the scenario A, do we know, so we're budgeting, like you said, based off of how much, it doesn't matter what the BC assessment increases were or things like that, where it's a 5% more money coming to the municipality, not 5% mill rate. I just want to confirm that.
Correct.
That is correct, yes.
Perfect. That makes it a lot more transparent. I'm really happy with that. Thank you, Mr. Curiata and Mr. Malkinson on working on that.
To repeat, we pulled the completed roll this morning, Your Worship, and we're at that 4.1 or 4.2%, you know, increase in the community, basically. So, you know, you're probably less than 1%. Again, I know it's not a 1-to-1, you know, way that math adds up, but less than 1% on the mill rate. Anyway.
Yeah.
Is there a way we could figure out what that mill rate increase is going to be? Because a lot of communities around right now are doing much larger mill rate increases, and I think it'd be very good publicity for Foos and maybe attract people if we said, hey, we're one of the very few communities in BC doing a 1 or 2% mill rate increase, right?
Your Worship, it's hard not to have a political comment in reply to that.
Yeah.
Because it's an inherently political point. You know, I hate to sound bureaucratic, but basically the tax rates bylaw will come out at a later date that we'll present. We're trying to build the budget. Again, I mean, it might sound like we're patting ourselves on the back, but we're trying to build it in an honest way that says, okay, how much money do we need to operate, rather than, you know, does it look this way, does it look that way?
Yes.
But it will be, yeah.
So wait for the tax bylaw to come out. There we go, thank you. Yes, Councillor.
Well, I think the idea is kind of why not scenario A plus, where we do 4%, 4.2 is the result, but there's no actual tax increase municipally. I think that's the long and the short. I'm in favor of A plus. Or Z, which is 0.
You're killing me. So A is on the floor, so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed?
And would you both like your opposed noted?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Moving on to recommendation 9.1, remedial action. Oh, I need the paper.
We're on 9.4.
Yeah, 9.4. What did I say?
9.1.
Dude, I need to nap before these meetings, man.
That's not me.
Literally, I was in meetings today, so I didn't have
That's on
time. Oh, I just don't function. 9.4, recommend that council do nothing, because I'm not even there. Jesus.
Remedial action required.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Hang on. Oh, this is also a long one.
Very long.
All right, recommend, whereas the council of the Village of Pooskippi has authority under Division 12 of Part 3 of the Community Charter to impose remedial action requirements in relation to hazardous conditions and nuisances. Whereas the Council of the Village of Pooskippi agenda package for this meeting contains documents regarding the site of an unpermitted and hazardous accessory structure and surrounding materials and debris at 4818 48th Ave, Pooskippi, BC, including the staff reported dated January 14th, 2026. Whereas the Village of Pooskippi has considered the material in the agenda package and the other material and submission presented to the council at this meeting, which includes concerns that the unpermitted accessory structure and surrounding debris incorporates rough-cut, non-graded lumber and non-stamped wood in the structure, was built without a building permit, and despite a stop work order being placed on the structure by the village building inspection officials, construction continued after issuance. Now therefore, the Council of the Village of Pooskoopi, in open meeting assembly, adopts the following resolution. 1, that pursuant to section 72 and 73 of the Community Charter, Council finds the unpermitted accessory structure located on properly legally described as PID 013-818-929, Lot 6, Block 8, Section 32, Township 77, Range 14 west of the 6th Meridian, Peace River Regional District Plan 2252, to create and be in an unsafe condition, to be in violation of the village's building bylaw and BC Building Code. That pursuant to Section 72 and 74 of the Community Charter, Council declares the unpermitted accessory structure and the surrounding material and debris to create a nuisance, and Council considers the unpermitted accessory structure and the surrounding materials and debris to be so dilapidated and unclean as to be offensive to the community. 3, that Council orders the registered owner of the property at 4818 48th Ave to do all of the following. A, apply for and obtain a demolition permit from the Village of Pooskoopi. B, remove the unpermitted accessory structure by demolition and clearing the property of all debris. C, removing all surrounding debris from the alley entrance of 4818 48th Ave on either side of the existing permitted accessory structure, including any and all rakes, chairs, garbage, industrial appliances, and general debris. D, dispose of all removed materials at appropriate disposal facilities. And E, remediate the site by filling in any holes and placing cedar sod over the excavated area. 4, that Council requires the required work set out in subparagraph 3, A to E of this resolution to be completed within 60 days of the owner being sent or served with notice of this remedial action requirement under section 77(1) of the Community Charter. 5, that Council directs the village staff to give notice of this remedial action requirement in accordance with section 77(1) of the Community Charter. 6, that the time period specified for the submission of requests that Council reconsider the decision under section CC 78 be executed to 30 days. Extended to 30 days, thank you. 7, that pursuant to section 17 of the Community Charter, if the owner fails to complete any part of the required works in the time required by Council, the Council authorizes the Village of Pooskoopi by its staff and contractors to enter onto the property and perform all the required works at the expense of the owner. And for this purpose, the village staff may A, retain a contractor or contractors in accordance with the village's purchasing policy to perform the remedial work, and B, recover all costs incurred by the village as a debt payable by the owner, which debt, if unpaid by December 31st of the year in which it has occurred, may be recovered as taxes in arrears under section 258(1)(c) of the Community Charter. Can I get a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Yeah, man, do you know how many times I read that?
Deep breath.
I may need coffee, I may be tired, and I may keep calling you the wrong name, but I just read that pretty good. All right, questions? Yes.
So I know we have another structure in town that we've discussed, and there's some stuff going on that has very much similar issues. So how come we're moving fast on this one, or we're not moving faster on the other one?
I'm trying to think of the other structure that you might be referring to. Sorry.
Yeah, it's enclosed, so.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'll make the recommendation that we move the rest of this discussion into closed, because it's gonna border on some stuff that isn't necessarily.
You have questions?
Yeah.
Okay, can I get a seconder on moving into closed? Seconded by Councilor Johnston. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're gonna move into closed.
Is this not the same property?
Hang on.